Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a video about an upcoming game called Albion Online. I'd like to start off by saying that I'm not sponsored to make this video, and the reason I should make that clear is because my YouTube channel is primarily focused on making content within RuneScape, more specifically old school RuneScape, and so I very rarely make videos outside of that, but when I do, I should make it clear it's not because I've sold out. And the reason I decided to make an Albion video is because Albion is a game with a lot of similarities to RuneScape, and so you may hear me compare the two games as this video progresses. But let's move on. Today I want to discuss if Albion Online is worth it. Albion is an MMORPG that is officially releasing on the 17th of July, just next month at the time of this recording, and I say officially because it has been in open testing to anyone who decided to buy it in the past for a very long time, for a few years. And although this video is being made before the game's official release, the state of the game in this video is the same state that the game will be in after the release. So if you're watching this video after July 17th, it should still be valid, hopefully. The game's developers are Sandbox Interactive, and this is the only game they currently develop, so you can be guaranteed content updates and bug fixes and all that good stuff. Albion isn't a free-to-play MMO. If you want to play this game, it will cost you at least $30. Currently there are 3 different packages that you can buy, costing $30, $50 and $100. And not only is there an upfront cost to get into the game, there is also a premium status type subscription model. There are 2 currencies in the game, silver and gold. Silver is your basic currency, it's what you get from killing monsters and selling items, and it's what you use to buy your gear and stuff. Gold is a premium currency that you have 2 ways of getting. 1, through buying it with real money, and 2, from turning your silver, your hard-end in-game silver, into gold. And with that gold you can buy the in-game premium status. It is also important to note that you can't pay for power in this game, so it isn't pay to win. Buying gold with real money can result in 2 things, either premium status or silver. Both of these things are obtainable pretty easily too, from my experience of playing the game, just from playing the game. So if there's some rich bastard buying lots of gold, everything that he does you can still also do. There is no content locked behind additional paywalls and things like that, and people without premium status can do everything someone with premium status can do. And after playing Albion for a while with the premium status activated, I came to the conclusion that I wouldn't really like playing the game without it, because the already grindy game becomes way more grindier and slower if you don't have it. And with this game being heavily guild based, it really isn't fun if you can't progress at the same speed as your friends or your guildmates. So although the premium status isn't mandatory, in my experience and in most cases of playing the game, it is pretty necessary if you want to stay relevant. So you have the $30 upfront cost, and you will also need to maintain your premium status, but that premium status can be maintained by your in-game silver you earn just by playing and turn it into premium, or you can just pay for it with real money. Is the game worth it? Is it worth the $30? Is it worth having to deal with premium status? So the short answer is, if you're like me, then yes, I have found it worth playing. In fact, I upgraded to the medium package level. However, if you dislike a game that has a grind and has a large focus on guilds and PvP zones, not necessarily PvP itself if you don't want to do it, but you will have to learn how to survive in PvP zones and stuff like that, then probably not. But if you still aren't 100% sure on your decision, let's continue talking about the game. Albion is a cross-platform sandbox MMO set in a medieval fantasy world, and there's only one server, but it's a huge server and everyone plays on that one server. The economy is 100% player driven. Every piece of equipment in the game was crafted by another player, and there's no classes. Similar to RuneScape, what your character equips determines the style of play. So you can go from being a tank to being a healer to being like an assassin DPS type guy just from wearing different types of equipment, which really did remind me of RuneScape when I was playing it. The game has a lot of resource gathering and crafting. There's a lot of trading going on either between the players or via auction houses. There's a lot of PvP, either small scale PvP with small groups or large scale like guild versus guild PvP where people fight over territories. There's also like PvE, like doing dungeons and battles and things, and you can have your own personal player island and or guild island where you can create your own crafting stations and farms and stuff, so you can be a little bit more self-sufficient and sell the product of your farms and things for money. And there's also this progression system which is kind of similar to RuneScape in that when you do things, you gain XP in doing that thing. So in Albion's case, XP is fame, it's called fame. And let's say, for an example, you're doing something like mining an ore. You're running around mining lots of ores. Doing that will give you fame, which will eventually level up your skill in using a pickaxe, which will lead you to be able to use a better tier of pickaxe and mine a better tier of resource. And an example with combat, let's say you were using like a two-handed sword and heavy armor, and you go around killing things with that stuff on, you will earn fame in using that type of equipment, which will eventually allow you to use better variants of that equipment, higher tiers of that equipment, and become more powerful. So the game isn't lacking in content. When you log in, there's a lot to do, there's a lot of things you can do. So if anything I've described or shown on this video seems appealing to you and you don't mind spending 30 bucks, then yeah, this game is going to be worth it. And if you were like me and you got really into the game, you can also upgrade your package that you bought initially for a better package, which gives you like a bunch more like benefits like gold and premium status and all that garbage. However, if you're still unsure if this game will interest you enough to warrant paying an upfront cost and having to maintain your subscription like premium status thing, I'm going to link a few resources in the description below. There's 3 things I can remember that I watched that helped me make the decision as to whether or not to buy this game. I watched a playthrough of the game done by a channel called Force Gaming, and although the playthrough was a paid promotion, so you gotta take everything he says, like all the compliments and stuff, with a grain of salt because, well, he's being paid, it actually done a good job of showcasing the game and stuff, and it's a 7-part series. I watched all of it before paying for the game. There's a link to that below. There's also a guy called the Lazy Peon who played the game for 10 hours and cut down his experience and his impressions into a 20-minute video which wasn't paid, at least not to my knowledge. And there you can sort of listen to his impressions and stuff. And the third thing that actually sold me on the game was the trailer Everybody Matters. It's a trailer basically telling you how everything you do in the game matters, and so if you want to focus on one thing, in the trailer the example is being a miner. If you want to mine ores and help your guild, those ores go to a guild, and then that guild turns it into equipment. Guild goes and sells that equipment in other areas to other guilds, and it's a pretty good trailer and does a good job of explaining what the game's all about. So hopefully this video has helped you make a decision on whether or not to buy the game. It's pretty reasonable to be turned off by the business model. I was initially, especially after in the early days of this game in development. They said it would be a free-to-play game after release, after the official release, but then they went back on that and now costs $30, and it has that premium status thing. It's very, well, bad to be honest. As a consumer, as someone who has to pay for this, it's pretty bad, let's be honest. But after getting into the game, it doesn't really get in the way, because after you pay your upfront cost of getting into the game and you play the game enough, you make money and stuff in the game which you can then turn into gold and turn that gold into premium status, so you don't really worry about it. It is kind of a risk, and that's why you should watch the playthroughs and things that I linked before purchasing it, because you don't want to waste your money. However, if you don't mind spending 30 bucks and this game seems to tickle your fancy, there is a link to the website in the description below. It is a refer a friend type link. It isn't a promotion, like I don't get paid, but it's just like a refer a friend type thing. Genuinely let me know if you've got this game, if you want to play this game, because I've already gotten like 5 friends on board, so the more the merrier. We can make a big guild together and have fun together, or we can go join another guild if we don't have enough people, but hopefully we get enough people together. So if you're going to play this game, let me know. Yeah, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful or informative, feel free to leave a rating and or a comment below, as it helps out the video and the channel a great deal. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I see you next time.